It was 15 years ago on March 5th, 2007, when I had Ben Cohen and Jerry Greenfield on the Colbert Report to launch my Ben & Jerry's flavor, Stephen Colbert's Americone Dream. What a long, strange scoop it's been. First year of the Colbert Report, I think it was in 2006. So it was that fall, I got a call from my agent, James Baby Doll Dixon, who said, baby, Ben & Jerry's wants to do a flavor with you. And of course, it was hard to believe because I'm gonna be Cherry Garcia. What pun name can you make from Colbert? And he goes, don't worry about that. They wanna know if you're interested. I said, yeah, that would be a lot of fun. And we could set up a fund and give the money to charity. And he goes, yeah, maybe. And first things, we got to settle on your flavor. And I said, sure, whatever, how do we do this? He goes, they're going to send you some options. So they sent me 2 or 3 pints, something like that, and they were unmarked containers. It was in a one of those styrofoam coolers that had dry ice in it. It was like they were dropping off a spare heart or something. And it had to have no label on it because it was all super secret that they were going to introduce a new flavor, and I hush and I couldn't tell anybody. We all got into my daughter's bed, me and Evie and her 2 brothers, Peter and John, got into her bed, and John was maybe 4, maybe 5, which means Peter was 7 and Madeline was 10. And I think I had 2 flavors, and I can't remember what the other one was, but they were rock solid because they'd come out of the cooler with the dry ice in it. And we chipped our way into it and passed the pints around, and Americone Dream, or the one with the vanilla, the caramel swirl, and the fudge-covered waffle pieces, won out, hands down. And they had notes. My kids and my wife had notes. Well, we were thinking a little bit of this, and tell them we'd like to. And then I gave those notes to James, and he goes, yeah, no, you got this, it's this flavor or that flavor. These things have been there's 10 years of development that go in. They have calipers out and scientists with lasers measuring how big the waffle cone pieces should be when they get chunked and coated, and how thick, how many microns thick, the caramel swirl should be as it makes the turn around the outside of the pint. So it was basically, you get to pick which one it is, but you don't have any input into what the flavor is. So, Americone Dream. At first, I didn't believe that I was getting a Ben & Jerry's flavor. I didn't, that old show, the Colbert Report, which is the thing that inspired them to offer me the flavor, was really like doing I don't know, just like a project with your friends. It felt like we were doing a college newspaper. And I know that we sort of made an impression on the world in our first year, but for us, we just kind of felt like we were doing it for each other. And so the idea that Ben & Jerry's would offer me a flavor seemed kind of crazy. The first person I told about getting my own flavor was my wife, Evie. She was pretty excited. She's like, do you get to pick your flavor? I'm like, I guess so. I mean, I imagine I get to pick my own flavor. I mean, it is my flavor. My name's going to be on it in my face, so I assume I'm going to be able to pick my own flavor. Like, well, great, because I've got some thoughts. What I remember was that Ben had, I think, a pen that you could pull out, and on the side of the pen there was a little chart you could pull out to show you how the US budget was spent. I think it was like some sort of activist thing, because Ben's very much an activist, very much, in the streets marching for what's right, which is beautiful. And Jerry is too, but Ben, that night at least. I think they also had Frisbees that were a pie chart of where the US budget went. I might be making that up. I hope this isn't slander. But definitely they had some things they wanted to say about the political realities of America. I just wanted to talk about ice cream. I don't think you should mix politics and comedy. I must have gotten crunked because I have no memory of that at all. I'm sure it was a lovely party. It must have been a great party, because the best ones I have no memory of. This is the subject of much contention for me. Yes, that summer, the ice cream had already exploded. It was a phenomenon, obviously. I don't have to tell you guys. And they said, do you want to throw out the first pint at the River Dogs game? And I love, a good baseball game, especially minor league. It's my favorite. And I know that you can't bounce. You can't throw wild. People are judging you, and there is absolutely no generosity from that crowd. So, old family friend, Miles Barkley, who lived down the street on Sullivan's Island, South Carolina, I said, hey, would you do me a favor? I need some help practicing this. So we paced out 60 feet 6 inches, from the mound to home plate. And I took an empty pint, which we helped empty, and I stuffed it with dirt. I took dirt from the yard and packed it in there and taped it shut so it would stay closed. And I was humming that thing into the plate. I mean, you could hear it go as it came through the air, straight as an arrow, man. Sandy Koufax. And so I'm ready to do it. No question. I'm gonna throw strikes. I'm gonna throw some heat. And I get there the next night, and do they have these pints frozen? No, they don't. They have the pints in a cooler filled with ice that had been there all day, so the ice had melted, and the pints were half melted in this icy water, but it wasn't solid, and they'd begun to leak. So they had coated themselves with a layer of half-melted room temperature ice cream, and there were frictionless surfaces. You could not get a grip on the pint in any direction. So the best I could do was take the pint and hold it in my hand so that the bottom, that has a rim on it, I could hook my fingers over it, and I had to kind of like, catapult it. I couldn't actually throw it because I couldn't get a grip. I had to kind of like just overhand chuck it, kind of like I was bowling in cricket. That's the best I could do. And I got it to the plate, but it bounced when it hit the plate, and I have yet to live down the shame. And I'm still mad that no one was there to protect me. I blame Jerry for that one. I'm gonna let Ben off the hook. Man alive. So we found out that Willie had his own flavor, which was peach cobbler, I believe, was the name of his. I believe it said it was like gluten-free. I believe it was gluten-free cobbler, I believe was it. And I said, so there's no wheat in this? And Willie said, no weed. So Willie was game. So I attacked Willie. He threatened me with the quality of his flavor and just the charisma, his magnetic charisma, and I was afraid that his ice cream sales would take away from my ice cream sales. And so obviously this unsettled a nation to see two icons of Americana fighting over whose ice cream was better. And we thought, who could we get to settle this? And my booker at the time was good friends with Richard Holbrook, Emily Lazar. She goes, I bet Richard would do it. So Richard came on, and a lovely guy. He's no longer with us, but truly just a giant and an enormous, loving personality. He came on, couldn't have been more thrilled, and all he wanted to do was sing On the Road Again with Willie Nelson, which he did. And at the time, a lot of people were pushing for there to be a Department of Peace in America. And I remember there was a moment backstage after the show when Willie was saying to Richard Holbrook, we should have a Department of Peace. Don't you think we should have a Department of Peace? And Richard Holbrook, and Willie's not a big guy, and Richard Holbrook was a very big guy, and he put his hands on Willie's shoulders, and he goes, we have a Department of Peace, Willie. It's called the State Department. We're there to stop the Defense Department from being necessary. While I love being on the label of a Ben & Jerry's ice cream and all the fun that it is to have your own ice cream flavor and to stop off at pretty much any gas station on I-95 when I drive south to Charleston for holidays, and I can stop in and go to the freezer case in your local Quick Mart, and there's my picture right next to Jimmy Fallon's picture on the Tonight Dough, or is it Late Nights? No, it's Tonight Dough. It was Late Nights Act Tonight Dough. Whenever I do that, I actually turn them toward each other and I take a photo and I send it to Fallon. And I go, miss you, buddy. like that. And he always writes, have a pint on me or whatever. Like he always writes me something back. So all of that's fun, right? But I get paid well to do this job, and I think it's always nice to find some way, if there's something that falls out of a tree that you didn't expect, to find a way for that to help other people. And what was most important to me is that, and as I say to my staff every year, they're the ones who give away the money. They make submissions in the fall as to where they would like their portion of their donation of the proceeds going to charity go that year. And people buy this ice cream because it's a good ice cream, and they might be buying it also because it's associated with this comedy shows that we've been doing for the last 15 years that are good enough that somebody might be motivated to buy a dessert associated with that comedy. And that's not just me. I'm not the one who does this show. We all do this show. I'm the guy with lucky enough to have his name on the building, and I'm the tip of the spear, and I'm not saying that I'm not important. I'm a huge fan of me, but I'm also a huge fan of all the other people that I get to work with. And I think the least I can do is give them an opportunity to say where this money goes. And it's my happiest night of the year. It's my favorite night. We can have great shows all year round, but there is nothing better to do on stage than to say to the people on the staff where that money was going, that they helped generate, and that they're deciding how it gets distributed. We do it the last show before our Christmas break every year, and that's my favorite thing. It's almost my favorite thing about doing this show is that night. But it's certainly my favorite thing about having the ice cream is that it goes to help other people. Top 10. We're talking top 5, right? Come on. Vanilla gets a lot of grief for being vanilla, but that's only really for vanilla that's not really vanilla. This is a true, rich, deep vanilla flavor. Then you think, hey, that would be good enough, and then bang! Caramel swirl all through. You can't get a spoon in there without getting some caramel in it. And sometimes there's also caramel. And then, just when you think it's safe to go back in the pint, chocolate-covered waffle cone. That little crunch, that little burst of chocolate, drive away the Dementors. I mean, it's got everything going for it. It's flavor, there's sweet surprise, there's a variety of textures, and you're helping people by eating it. All of my proceeds are going to charity, so you're doing a good thing for the world and a good thing for yourself, because in the right balance, they say that ice cream, caramel, and chocolate is it's life extending. Well, that's the inside scoop. I'm proud that the past 15 years we've had a top 10 Ben & Jerry's flavor that has raised millions of dollars, $4.25 million for charity, and helps make some Americone dreams come true. Thanks for eating it. See you in the freezer case.